What's going on, everybody? It's your boy C-Zar, and we are talking about 4 different Grayscale trusts today. We're going to be going over LTCN and BCHG at the request of Pump Progression, with special requests on G-Soul and G-Bat for Paul Zero and Danny Yoyo. You guys had some kind of special requests with those two, so we'll get into that. If you guys could hit the like button and subscribe, that'd be awesome. I very much do appreciate it. I'm sure a lot of you over the past 24 hours have had some questions, some doubts as to whether or not we have found the low, or are we moving up from here? Are we going down from here? What's the deal? What's the deal? And first and foremost, nobody knows. Nobody ever really knows, right? All we can do is guess. We can have educated guessing or completely random guessing, and sometimes the completely random guessing can be correct and the completely educated guessing can be incorrect. It's not a game of certainties, it's a game of probabilities. And right now the probability still remains that prices will go lower. I'm not a financial advisor, none of this is financial advice, but I do believe that there's still a solid chance that LTCN will go lower. And what gives me confidence in that, at least at the moment, is that all we've done with this is the same thing that we did here. It's the same thing that we did here. It's the same thing that we did here, right? We've been forming lower highs. You connect the dots, it's actually a pretty straight line in this trend of lower highs, right? I'm not going to get bullish on a lower high any more than I would here. I wasn't bullish here. I'm not bullish here. I'm not changing that, right? If we can get a little bit higher, we can keep pushing. Things could change, but on a move that's that substantial with very unsubstantial, insignificant volume, I'm not amused. I was going to say I'm not amazed, and then I kind of tripped it up. But RSI looks fine. It doesn't look terrible. I will say it doesn't look terrible. It looks fine. I like the area that you bounced. You didn't even get oversold. Now you're above the 50. But will it continue to grow is the real question. We take this relative high to low here, you're at your 0.5. You could go a little bit higher. You could go up to about 34 bucks, 35 bucks. If we go to 34 or 35, even if this kind of like straight line of highs goes out the window, it's still a lower high, and we're at an area that is common to reject. So don't get too excited, but we really could move up to 34 to 36 bucks from here. We're at 31.50 now. Time will tell. I will say on the weekly, this is a very nice area to bounce. This is a very, very, very nice area to bounce. That's the one kind of like dramatically bullish thing you have going for you. Beyond that, you also have this bullish engulfing candle here, which is also nice to see. I'm really curious to see how we close tomorrow for Friday. If we get some kind of big rejection, man, if all crypto starts to go down, that'd be kind of crazy. But if we get some big rejection, that might solidify that this is just another lower high. Bitcoin Cash itself did drop 4% yesterday, while BCHG, I'm sorry. We're talking about LTCN, not BCHG, my bad. Let's actually look at LTC. Okay, so LTC didn't really go down that much. Okay. Yeah. LTC with the hidden bearish divergence, though, I think it does want to continue going lower. I think it does. You're disrespecting the hell out of this line. I don't know. I guess you like to disrespect it, to be fair. I don't know. I'm not amused, and I don't like your daily RSI. It has the potential to be good, but I feel like you would need to start moving up relatively soon. At any rate, LTCN, to me, I'm standing by it. I think it goes lower. I think we're going to go down from here, probably see that land of $21 to $23. Based off of this fib from low to high here, 22 is our minimum target. 20 is the kind of maximum expected target, with the absolute real possibility that we could see prices below $17, below $20, so just keep that in mind. That's LTCN. Let's talk about BCHG now. Yes, there we go. So down 12% today, right? I had one guy, I forget what he said. It was something like oops or ouch or something like that with yesterday's price, because it went up 25%, and then it went down like 12. It gave it like all back today. Here's the thing too, guys. With percentages up, you can see, right? If I start from the same point, I go up 50%, right? All the way up here. It's not this. It doesn't translate the same going down. So from that same area down, it's not a 50% move. It's a 33% move, right? So just so you know, even though it's a 12% move versus a 25% move, it's still going down. That's still a pretty big deal, actually. And no, it did not engulf all of the move, but it does look kind of like a rejection. And it does look like another lower high in this series of lower highs, at least in my opinion. Relative high to low, you literally tipped your 6.9 as BCH loves to, as BCHG loves to, tipped it and closed below the 618. Ouch, harsh rejection afterwards. If you can close below $12, that will validate, it'll solidify the idea that I have and that I've been proposing, which is that that's not the low and that you will go lower. Where will you go? How low will you go? Where do we go now? We're going to go to $8 to $6.86. Potentially lower than that. That's genuinely potentially lower than that. But I think $6 to $8 is the area that I'd be looking for. $7 to $8 is more the area I'd be looking for. But, you know, don't take my word for it. Don't count on that specifically, right? We are down right now from the relative all-time highs. We are down 46%. Even though we're up this week 16%, it's still a relatively good time to DCA. If you've got cash sitting on the sidelines and you've been waiting, you wanted to buy up here, but you were waiting. You wanted to buy up here, but you were waiting. You almost bought that lower high. I can't talk, guys. I can't talk. You almost bought that lower high, but you kept waiting. And now you're like, should I wait or should I buy? Maybe do a little bit of both. Maybe DCA and then wait to buy more if it goes lower, because lower prices are not promised. And I'm not a financial advisor. Do what you want. It's your money. Do what you want with it, right? But seeing a lower low come in, I'm drawing these lines pretty terribly. Let me see. High to high here. Maybe something like that with that there. I don't know. Something a little bit more parallel. You know, if we saw this come in, that's great. That'll give you lower prices. But however, if we are flirting with this and breaking out right now, and you're waiting for these prices down here, you're thinking you're going to get it at the best possible price ever. You and everybody else wants that same thing. So I mean, I'm just saying, why push the odds? Why push the circumstances? We're already down 46% from the all-time high. I think after a nice pump like this and then a little bit of a reprieve from yesterday, I think this is the perfect time to just really consider DCAing if you're sitting on the sidelines. If you have cash already invested in, if you are substantially invested in any asset, I think that gives you more leverage to kind of be stingy, right? To be cheap, right? Only whenever it's really enticing will you get into it. And I very much do think that prices below $9 would be very enticing. We're here at about $13. It's not as enticing, but it's still pretty enticing considering we were at $23 a little over a month ago, right? And being at about $10 less than that, it's still pretty enticing at these levels. So I'm getting all sidetracked here. I'm going off on a tangent. All that to say, guys, I do think that we have lower prices to go. Probably around $8 to $6 is my expected area. That hasn't changed even with yesterday or 2 days ago's pump. That could change. I'd be willing to change my stance on that if you can close prices above $16.50. If you can get above there, I'll change my opinion, or at least I'll start to. But that's BCHG. I hope that made sense. I feel like I went off a little bit there, but G-Sol is the next one. G-Sol, and you had a specific request, didn't you, Danny? What was it? Oh, it wasn't Danny. No, it was Paul O. Paul O. Sorry. Maybe it wasn't Paul O. Oh, I'm looking. Oh, my bad. It was Nico Kontoravdis. Nico Kontoravdis. You were asking what I could see BCH doing over the next couple months. Okay, so let's do that real quick. Over the next couple months, right? So let's be clear. We are here. It is May 13th. Well, the week of May 13th. It's actually May 18th right now, but May 13th is the week that we're on. A couple months from now would be July 13th, right? So essentially, I feel more comfortable with that, with this week here. So that's a couple months from now. Where do I see the price going? Well, I see us finding our low by that time and working our way up. We could very well be at the exact same price that we're at now in a couple months. We could be slightly lower, we could be slightly above. I do not expect in 2 months' time from now that we will be above this high. We could be, but I wouldn't expect it. My expectation is we will go a little bit lower. I don't have the low, so it's really hard to say. But my expectation would be over the coming weeks, we go a little bit lower. If not by the end of this week, if not tomorrow, but probably by the coming weeks, we go a little bit lower. And then we have a nice bounce. We work our way up, and perhaps 2 months from now, we'll be back above $13, $15. It's a rough guess, but my guess is we probably would be above the current price. 2 months from now, we might be even above like $16 or $17, closer to these highs. I just don't think we're going to break them. I think by the time we break this line, it'll probably be about 3 months from now, is my genuine thought, but I can be wrong. Time analysis is not my strong suit. At any rate, I would expect the next couple months to be boring. I hope that answers your question. G-Sol. The next couple weeks might be exciting because we'll find our low, and finding a low is exciting, but afterwards we generally are boring. So G-Sol up 15% this week. What's Solana doing? Solana's up a little bit, 13% as well, aren't you? Nice. Daily RSI looks great, actually. Price action's looking good too. Yeah. Interesting. $167 to $174. So maybe up a little bit more and then down. You're at an area where you could reject. That makes sense. Yeah, up a little bit more. Sounds about right. So G-Sol, you might finish the week off strong. Close up a little bit more. You can see the symmetrical triangle though, right? Like you can see this pennant, right? I would wonder, man, because if tomorrow you go up a little bit more, you'd be looking like you're breaking out of this triangle. You're already looking like you're kind of doing it, but a little bit more, that would start to look like a breakout, especially on a weekly end there. Having a hard time. Having a very hard time with this one. The daily RSI looks bullish. The price action looks bullish. The underlying asset looks bullish. We're going to give it to it. Though it goes against the grain with what most of the market predictions are, in my opinion. I think G-Sol moves up. I think you're probably moving up from here. And where are you going to go? High to low. Let's look and see what you do with 434. You're at 407. Let's look and see what you do. I bet you interact with 420 to 435 tomorrow. Let's see what you do with that over tomorrow and like starting next week as well. But if you can get above 450, if you can get above there, it's on to 492 to 550, and then essentially you're on to new all-time highs as well. But remains to be seen. I'd like to check in on this after the close tomorrow and maybe after next week's open as well. But G-Sol, I think you're moving up in the more immediate term. G-Bat versus BAT. Now, Danny Yoyo, your question on this was, you've noticed that G-Bat has moved up a lot, while BAT, B-A-T, basic attention token, has not moved up a lot. All right. This is BAT, the orange line, and G-Bat, the Grayscale Trust, is the candles, right? So had a similar top here, came down, crashed together, but then what's this? G-Bat decides it wants to move up, while BAT, the underlying asset, actually moves down. And I think this is a perfect example. This is beautiful. I love seeing stuff like this because it reminds us, it keeps the memory fresh in our head that these trusts are not the same as the underlying asset. They can move opposite. You can see, and we've seen this with BCHG before too, where BCH was boring or even moving down, but BCHG was finding new highs, new yearly highs, right? We can see that. We can see it where BCHG or BAT moves up, and then the Grayscale trust moves down. They can move inversely of each other, though most of the time they are correlated. Don't get me wrong. Your question, Danny Yo-Yo, is why, right? And my answer to that question could be wrong. It could be right. It could be part of the truth. It could be the entire truth. I'm not 100% sure, but here's my thoughts. Here's my theory. And it's essentially the same thing. That's the driving factor for the Grayscale trust to move up in the first place, is that there's less liquidity here, right? There might be more value, like true value, not value as far as growth potential goes, but true value is not in the trust, it's in the underlying asset. And while that's true, the order books are thicker on the underlying asset, but they are thinner on the trust. They're a lot thinner. So even if there's not enough demand or there's more selling going on with the underlying asset, it might be held back. If there's any interest at all on this, right, even just like the slightest bit more, it's going to pump the price because there's just less liquidity. So why is this moving up and this is moving down? My thoughts are there are probably some, call them institutional players, call them maybe even inside informants, inside traders, inside, like they have some kind of knowledge about this crypto that nobody else does, and they're putting money, and you can see the volume that's coming in here. This is all speculative. I'm speculating, but you're getting the most volume you've ever seen on this chart while BAT itself is moving down and you're just moving up. My thoughts are there's an interest in this trust for some reason, right? For some reason. The reason why it's moving up more than the underlying asset, again, essentially is because there's less liquidity here. So it's easier for the price to move up, right? BAT itself, and I'm actually going to change this to a candlestick chart so we can see it a little bit better. BAT itself hasn't really, like the line chart looks like it's been moving down, but the candlestick, you can see it's really just been moving sideways, right? So moving sideways while this thing's moving up, that's not too bad in my opinion, right? There's more interest in this than there is in the underlying asset is all that's saying. I'm getting distracted. I forget where I was going with this. I just got a text from my wife, so I'm perplexed, but anyways, I hope that answers your question, Danny. I hope that answers your question. Anybody that's wondering why this is moving up and this is not moving up, this is still accumulating. It just probably the amount of demand that's here doesn't reflect enough for it to pump yet. Where here the amount of demand probably does, because there's probably less people selling. The people that are holding these trusts, they're not, like if you have people who are buying basic attention token in crypto, they might be new, they might not be aware of everything. And I'm not saying that there aren't new people, there aren't new people here in the Grayscale Trust, but most people who are investing in Grayscale Trust, you probably have an added layer of knowledge than just your average crypto degen, is what I would assume. We're all degens at heart, right? But the Grayscale Trust, it takes a little bit more knowledge, I guess. I don't know. So with that knowledge, you have potentially stronger hands, people that aren't selling because they're aware of the cycles, they're aware of the premiums that come into play with this, so they're not selling, they're waiting for this thing to pump before they even think about selling. That's just kind of my thoughts. But at the end of the day, Danny Yo-Yo, who knows why it does what it does. My biggest, easiest conclusion to draw would be that there's just less liquidity in the trust, therefore it's easier to move the price, right? You might have had a lot of buying going on down here on BAT, but it wasn't enough for the prices to go up. You could have had a fraction of the buying here on the Grayscale BAT, but there's not as much selling going on, so it does pump the price, But I don't know. Again, that could be completely wrong. It could be part of the truth. It could be the whole truth. I really don't know, but that's my best guess. Anyways, guys, if you like the video, hit that like button. Subscribe if you want to see more. Sorry, I got a little bit distracted at the end there. I was trying to find myself, but I'm found now. So with that, I leave you. Take care. Bye-bye. See you on the next one.